Hey there, Shalom. Excuse me. So I just watched the video from Little Light LED Studios, LED Ministry, Little Light Ministry. I just saw the video about the actors channeling the demonic to do their acting. Let me tell you something. I completely agree, brothers. You guys nailed it. You guys hit it out of the park. Let me tell you something, a little something about myself. I come from that same kind of industry. I worked in the animation industry, and I still work in the movie industry. and I come from a background where I don't know what's going on, but there's cops flying by. Anyways, I'm sorry about that. And I still work in the movie industry. Now I do ministry. I went to seminary. I came out of practicing spiritism, practicing that the secret, the law of attraction. I was also in a rock band. I was in a I was practicing also on stage. I was doing a lot of body painting. Actually, my body painting was gonna lead me to stardom. I was supposed to be on one of the seasons of that TV show where they compete to see who the best body painter is. And through that TV show, through other connections, I had met those that Hollywood group that takes your life and really you reach stardom. And let me tell you, one of the reasons why excuse me, one of the reasons that I initially was being looked at by these Hollywood elites is because my art, my paintings, I was doing a lot of fine art, and my paintings were literally demonic, satanic paintings. I personally thought I was using my quote-unquote Christian background to somehow preach quote-unquote message of God and stuff like that. But honestly, back in those days, before I went to seminary, before I was grounded in the Word and in the truth, I was just a fake Christian, a fake lukewarm. I was a spiritist. I was doing divination, practicing all kinds of what the scriptures would call witchcraft. And let me tell you something, it works. Let me tell you something, when the adversary, when the devil tempts you and offers to give you everything you want, it works. Let me tell you something. I was trapped in sexual immorality. I was fornicating and womanizing like crazy. And if you look at me, I'm just like an unassuming kind of guy. I'm not I'm not even all that good looking, as far as I'm. But let me tell you something. When you're an artist and when you're going around, body painting at shows and at concerts, and you're doing body painting, something, let's just say it like this. The enemy, the devil, gives you more power, Okay, let's think about it scripturally. Scripturally, I was on a stage or out in a public, kind of concert venue kind of, thing with a naked woman. So I was causing others to lust. So if I think about it now, man, I was doing the work of the devil, because I was causing men and women to look at this naked body, and I was causing them to lust. So I was causing them, stumbling them into sin. So I'm sure the devil loved it, and you know, people would come up behind me and just praise my artwork, and if you do a little research, you can see some of my old body paintings. They were satanic. I mean, literally goat heads, goat skulls, you know, metal, heavy metal stuff. And I was a heavy metal dude. And let me tell you something. Back in those days, I was in my 30s. I'm in my late 30s now. But I looked way younger. You know, I looked like I was 24 when I was 30. And let me tell you something, because there's a spiritual transference going on. There's like a worship going on. Let me tell you something. The vanity that I had, I wanted to stay in shape. I wanted to stay in perfect physique and be thin and be better looking, you know. And I had a mohawk back then that was like super high. So I was a symbol of rebellion. I was a symbol of rebellion against the Most High. I was a symbol of the culture, of counterculture, of you know, who cares? Do what you want, you know. I was peddling darkness. Let me tell you something else too. I recently do Lyft on weekdays, and ministry obviously on the weekends. And doing Lyft, you know, nowadays that I've been through seminary, you know, I don't have that same spirit, that same attitude. Okay? But, you know, people in my Lyft rides, they still think I'm funny. Though I don't cuss anymore, I don't say bad words, you know, I don't have like raunchy humor. I just say innocent, humorous things. So my Lyft passengers, like, over the course of the years would tell me, man, you need to do stand-up. So I thought to myself, okay, I'm gonna do a little experiment. I'm gonna try to be funny, okay? I'm gonna do this social experiment where I'm literally trying my hardest to be funny. Maybe in the future I'll get a GoPro and I'll put it in the car, and I'll just put the videos of me just, you know, making the passengers laugh. For some reason, I could be naturally funny with people, but when I'm trying to be funny, I can't seem to be the same guy I used to be back in the day, where I was like so funny, you know. Let me tell you, before I was, you know, made what the scriptures say, that one new man, before I was reconciled back to the Father through the work of Messiah, through the message and through the sacrifice of Messiah, before I was reconciled back to the Father, my entire life, people expected this fame to come out of me. This, you know, because I'm an artist, I draw, I paint, I draw, and people always expected me to become this famous artist. Let me tell you something else. I've always been a funny kid. First grade, I signed up to be to tell some jokes at the talent show of my elementary school. And, you know, people were doing dances, people were doing this and this and that. I went up to do some jokes because I wanted to do stand-up for the talent show. And I actually got to be the master of ceremonies all throughout elementary school. Every single talent show, I was the MC, the guy going up on stage and, you know, introducing the next act. My entire elementary school, I just was immediately picked to be the MC. You know, I would go up on stage, tell a couple of jokes, and then introduce the next act, you know. So my entire life, I always had that where people expected it out of me, okay? In college, people expected me to be this funny comedian. Let me say this also. Working in the animation industry, let me tell you this about the animation industry. A lot of times, the animators and the art staff are sometimes funnier than the writers. I could say that we would contribute to the visual gags. I mean, think of this. As a kid that works in the animation industry, we live, eat, breathe animation. So we study, we hear the lectures of the teachers on visual gags, on physical gags, on comedy, on how to write a comedic, animation scene, okay? So a lot of the animation kids, we're well versed in comedy. we write. I used to make little comics as a kid, So LED Little Light Studios. I'm saying once again that you guys nailed it, hit it out of the park. The invocation of a spirit definitely helps. And I can tell you, let me tell you this about when I was an occultist rebel against the Most High. For example, my sin was sexual deviancy and sexual immorality. My I guess where the temptation where the enemy really got me was sexual addiction. I just wanted everything that I could get my hands on. And let me tell you something, the devil would give me what I wanted. For example, I was at a rave one day with a bunch of people, and I just saw this girl from across the way, and she's probably like the best looking girl in the whole entire place. And she just like out of nowhere just turned and looked directly at me, and from across the room, like a movie, just walked right up to me, got really close to my face, and asked me if I was, carrying any drugs or anything. I mean, you're looking at this tattooed guy with a mohawk and a leather jacket with spikes. She was like into me, man, and she wanted some drugs, and I'd hate to say it, but somebody had actually given me something earlier that day, and I didn't do drugs at all growing up, but I definitely always, in the tattoo field, in the art field, people were always giving us everything, just all the time. For free, people were just handing it out, like, hey, here, man, you look like you party. Here's some drugs, So I just happened to have some in the car that day. And at that point in my life, I was so lost. I was already just such a reprobate. My conscience was seared with a hot iron, like the scriptures say. So my point of that story is that I was in such rampant sin, and the devil was definitely giving me what I needed. So, for example, the demonic spirits, the whispering spirits, the seducing spirits that were around that girl, and the seducing spirits that were around, for example, from myself, they're in communication with each other. So my demons go and talk to her demons and say, hey, go talk to that guy, That's how the demonic spirit works. The devil already knows how to destroy you, and the devil knows how to get you further and further into sin against the Father. So his minions, his seducing spirits, his ministering spirits, they work together. Okay, so that's how that situation happened. Now back to my my statement about the comedy. I got to tell you something. when you're on the side of Yah, when you have been purchased and redeemed and reconciled unto the Father, you can maybe become a biblical comedian and do, like quote unquote Christian comedy. And then you are fueled, you are inspired by the Ruach HaKodesh, the spirit of holiness, because you're just like, as a pastor going up on the pulpit, doing sermons, I sometimes have to throw in a little bit of humor. For example, my very first time preaching at a pulpit, preaching a sermon as an ordained pastor, I was killing the crowd, and the lead pastor was astonished, like, yeah, you're killing them, you're making them laugh, and my supervisor then was like amazed that I was making these people laugh. And it was a congregation where I was not necessarily welcome. It was a congregation where they had been a black-only Baptist church for over 100 years, and the new head pastor, wanted to integrate and not be a black-only church, but he wanted to bring in Hispanics and all kinds of other ethnicities and nationalities. So when I was hired for that job, he told me it was going to be a hard job because the older people were not agreeing. They did not want to integrate. They wanted to stay traditionally black-only Baptist church. And so I was not going to be welcomed 100% with open arms. And I was still managing to just have them laugh. So, but again, back to the Little Light Studio Ministry thing. You do indeed have to tap into a spirit, a mocking spirit, a hateful, sarcastic spirit. Let me tell you, Scripture says that, Scripture says not to have coarse words come out of your mouth, not be coarse of speech. Okay, Shaul, Paul says these things. And, there's like mockery and sarcasm. Those kinds of things should not be done by believers of the Most High. So, when you are doing secular comedy, as I attempted to do secular comedy as an experiment, I could not be funny when I was being forced to try to be funny. And all my humor was, going against my new nature, the new man, the one new man the Scripture talks about. Because with the spiritual discernment, I could see how the comedy that I was trying to do was sarcastic and hateful and just against everything the Messiah would have preached and taught. So Messiah would not grant me that, for sure Messiah is not going to grant me that fame and fortune with that horrible humor that I was attempting. And the devil for sure wasn't going to back my comedy because it was innocent. It was innocent. It wasn't vulgar. It wasn't overly sexual. It was just blah humor. So, as an occultist, as one who had an occult background, Little Light LED Ministry Studios, you guys nailed it. It really is a spiritual thing. Even, for example, singing. I love to sing karaoke. And when you're singing karaoke, if you do it really well, the people are eating out of your hands. Okay? And they clap and they're praising you. They're praising your skills or your talent. Now, the light side of that, the side of the Father's side is, let's say, if you're in the choir for your congregation, That is the spirit. Like one of my favorite things from when I was a pastor with the Black Baptist Church is, you know, the song when the spirit of the Most High comes upon my heart, I will dance like David danced. When the spirit of the Most High comes upon my heart, I will sing as David sang. You know. So when you're singing for the Most High, you're inspiring, you're using your talents, and you are being fueled by the breath that comes from the very spirit of the Most High. You're being filled with His essence and breath. Okay? As opposed to when you're a secular singer, you know, you see how they admit that there is a demonic spirit helping them. Okay? And in that sense, you know, remember Scripture says that when you're not working for the Most High, for the Messiah, you're working against Him. Even a little leaven spoils the whole lump. So, you know, you cannot dance on the edge of the knife. You cannot dance on the fence and be a little bit secular and a little bit, quote unquote, religious. You have to be fully committed to one. For example, if I've seen this with secular or with people in ministry that are still very worldly, that do not have the Ruach HaKodesh, they struggle in their minds because they know they're on the fence. They know their hypocrisy. They know that they are not living according to what is required of them. Now, let me tell you on the other side of the coin, you know, pastors like Joel Osteen or other hypocrite, lukewarm, apostate, Laodicean, you know, false teachers, they're loved. Oh my gosh, those lukewarm churches are just loaded with people, and they're just loaded with mega churches. Because the way of destruction is wide, and many go there, and the you know, the true way is narrow, and very few find it. Very few find it. So, Little Light Studios, you guys nailed it. There is indeed ministering spirits of the demonic helping to seduce not just the person that's trying to be the comedian or the singer or the actor, but also the people that are watching. Little Light Studios, LED Ministry, you guys are doing an amazing thing. I love your videos. You guys are amazing. Shalom to you guys. I wish you all the blessings of the Most High. And anybody